I'm going to handle the next one. 9.1, the commercial design guidelines. Those are being edited right this minute. The issue with the design guidelines, there's two issues. One is we're doing them and eventually they have to be done. The other one is how do you enforce them? And right now, the design guidelines would be theoretically enforced by the associations, the Maritime Way Association and the Edward Teach Association, commercial associations. Those are not ready to be stood up yet. We've had conversations with all the people involved, and Chad and I met with, well, all the different commercial establishments to discuss getting their feedback on how to stand them up. And that discussion will keep on going on. But in the meantime, Limited is going to stay in their position of controlling the design guidelines. And when the village gets done editing them, I'll be going back to Chad and saying, hey, look, this is what we want to see enforced, and work with him in generating a partnership between Limited and the village, at least on a temporary basis, until those associations do get stood up. Likewise, the next thing on the list is landscape design guidelines. Same storyline. The association has a really robust breakdown of what can be planted, what can't be planted, how to do it. And when we're looking at the commercial design guidelines, the association has provided us with theirs. And so we're looking to incorporate those as much as possible. And the vetting of these landscape architects, we'll be working with them as well when we're looking at infilling landscape at this building, over by the contractor's yard, other locations like that. And so we'll be incorporating those landscape design guidelines for that too. You stop me when you want me to, Chris. Okay. So the next one, beach access and parking survey. This summer, we have plans to do a survey, ongoing survey, summer long, going to the beach accesses, doing a count. How many people are actually parked here and there? How many people are using the beach from different accesses? So we can at least have a starting point, a baseline for planning where we need more access points, where we need more parking. What I was saying before in terms of only being half built out and needing a good look at the area around your museum, the same story stands for all the beaches. There's always resistance, and I understand it. You know, we don't want a bunch of surface parking lots. Reality is that our population is going to keep on growing. Doing just, you know, on the side of the road parking is dangerous. We need to assess the problem and start coming up with solutions that get introduced over the course of a number of years. But the starting point is doing this survey. The idea of tying up public safety or utilities to do that survey, I don't want to be doing that. I'm going to be looking at the community to try and generate a volunteer force to help us get that information. I'll be talking, you know, I'm saying it right now, but I'll be talking to the association as well on that subject.
So you should probably have a committee you could do that with.
Yeah, committees are great, but I want to try and keep it down in it as my own approach to things. I'd rather have specific task force that have an end. You know, they got a time and this is a group. On this date, they're done with their work. You want to talk about the residential sprinkler systems?
Yes, Mayor. I think with this item, just a recognition, as we discussed, coming out of the Lighthouse Landing fire event, we're talking with Stephen and the potential for future building code conditions of putting in sprinkler systems in residential homes. And maybe there's specific areas on the island that within the canopy and cover of the forest, that we look at that as a potential future policy decision and carrying it forward to requiring it and implementing that. So that's sort of one of those, it's not yet begun, but just a recognition that this could be something coming down. Is that fair, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier, fire code is one of the things that we can go above building code. The past 2 code cycles, sprinklers work, residential sprinkler systems were put in there, but the builders associations were able, home builders associations were able to get those put out of the code. So if we were to do it, I think we're only slightly ahead of what's going to be required by the state anyway pretty soon. The cost is not that extensive. It's not like your commercial sprinkler system with risers and a lot of it's for not your domestic water supply. It's pretty easy to install. It doesn't really increase the cost that much. And you're going to get that back in your insurance savings that you're going to have for having a sprinkler system.
Yeah, and if you look at, when you look at the cost, all of the houses in the harbor all have sprinklers.
Right. And
So
those,
it's not
those are actually an NFPA 13 system, which are even more expensive than what this would be.
Dovetailing with that, I approached Chris the other day about an ordinance to control pine straw on the island. Pine straw is a major fire hazard here, and we're going to be proposing that. One of the biggest users of pine straw is the club, and I did talk to David Sawyer about cutting back, and he really responds very fast. Because we'll cut it out around the buildings, and wants us to talk to him about a program that he phases out pine straw within the year. So it's the response from the biggest user was actually very favorable, and I can't imagine a homeowner being angry about more fire safety. Public restrooms.
I think that goes along with the beach access and parking and a recognition of, as we looked at long-term island build out, the need for public restrooms in certain areas of the island. This is something that we've actually already been working on and have discussed. And so this will be a continued work in progress coming months.
Some of us pine for the days of the old gazebo on East Beach.
No kidding.
And the catering truck too.
But try and get out there and explain to somebody where it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not a clue. Village Hall, you want to talk about that or you want me to? Okay. So everybody knows the Village Hall came in way too high. There's 2 problems with that. One was cost of materials are a lot higher than they were yesterday. And the other problem is there isn't a labor force. And so when you're going and you're bidding a job, and this was a perfect example, I don't need the work. God, I'll do the work, but this is what you're going to pay, but I don't even want to do it. And that's the numbers we got back. We're looking for, changes happening in the future where prices come down a little bit and the labor force is a little bit more robust, but that's not today. We'll be monitoring that on a regular basis, and when we think it's appropriate, we'll be going back out to bid again. In the meantime, we have spoken to the person who is doing the interior design for the new Village Hall and was starting to generate plans for new furniture. Our village employees have been using the same furniture. It's marginal at best. It doesn't look like anything's happened in that building in a long, long time. And mainly it's the age of the materials in there, but also the amount of traffic that it gets. And so we've talked about taking the existing Village Hall. We need to do an update on it and possibly doing some planning inside the existing Village Hall to make it more efficient, and looking at maybe getting new furniture that we'll be able to incorporate into the new Village Hall and start using it early.
The contractor services yard update, we heard from JP on that. So I think we've touched upon that. Stormwater management, Hurricane Florence Task Force recommendation update, which I shared that table with you all, and we still continue to check off a number of those recommendations. I think for the most part, we're focused now is on the stormwater management, and physical construction of improvements, i.e. the bypass lagoon to the creek outfall. So we know that work is pending. And then miscellaneous items.
I got one. And so, we've talked about it casually. Chris and I have about a building maintenance program. If you look at the condition that the post office got into, and even Village Hall right now, there's a need to have almost a formalized approach to maintaining or making investments into physical plant on this island. And if we're not taking care of them, then we're being silly. So we need to formalize that a little bit. There's a couple of, probably doesn't fit under this category, but miscellaneous items that I want to touch on that aren't in this category, but I don't see them anywhere else. During the election, there was reasonable and actually overdue arguments, conversations about how to get a voice from non-voters. People don't have, but have people that have a vested interest in the island. We've formed a committee right now that they've met a few times, developing a questionnaire to help understand how to make that voice happen. And so it's in its early stages. I talked to the head of the group yesterday, and they anticipate having something to me within a week or so. And you'll be seeing that eventually. I got.
Okay.